Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Still kind of morning whilst I'm recording this, but good afternoon when you watch it. I thought we would take a look at Rings of Power and just the seething cope that Amazon is doing and has been doing for this series. It's fascinating, and I had a discussion with a friend of mine earlier today, just usual coffee chit chats like I do most mornings with this chap, and was discussing Rings of Power because there's a very interesting case study of rage baiting going on with Rings of Power. So Rings of Power is quintessential rage bait for fan rage bait. So they'll take a property, and Amazon is the best example of this. So you take a property, and Amazon has literally no rights to the first book, the second book, the third book. They have the rights to the appendices, basically. They can't actually adapt anything that was written specifically. They have to have something varied enough to get past the rights that they own and don't own. So you take a property, you adapt it, and you adjust and change stuff. Now, in modern media, there is quotas for things. Now, stop. I know that term riles a lot of people up, but it's the truth. So, for funding, there is a quota to reach funding. Obviously, Amazon doesn't come into that. But to be considered for awards, there's a quota that you must meet for certain demographics being included. Now, whether that be colour, colour of skin, disability, gender orientation, whatever. There is this quota. Take a property, adapt it, no care for the story specifically because you are shoehorning in a quota. Story should always come before quota, remember. And then you present it. You also do things to specifically rile people up, or things where you know it will cause people to get riled up. When the end result is negativity, you then wheel those changes out in front and you use them as human shields for the criticism. So, case in point being Amazon Prime and their really big focus on claiming everyone is racist for not liking Rings of Power. That's Rage Bait 101. Most people's complaint over this show has simply been it's boring. Now, there have been a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are furiously typing away now, there have been a lot of people that have commented on people's ethnicity, and it's a very valid thing to point out. Because of when Tolkien was around, when he wrote it, what he saw, and what the fundamental basis of Middle-earth and Lord of the Rings and that world was supposed to represent and supposed to mean. So it's very valid to point out people's ethnicities, especially for multiple angles. There's that angle, there's the angle of, regardless of a fantasy world, there are still things which have to kind of make sense, and, you know, having certain demographics living in mines, looking like a certain ethnicity doesn't really make too much sense. There are lots of validity behind people pointing out ethnicities. There is. Outside of course, you know, the nastiness of racism, which does go on unequivocally. Of course it does. You know, you can't escape people being arseholes. They will for the end of time. But the large majority of people have just been pointing out the fact that it's boring and you made too many changes needlessly, seemingly because it's boring at the expense of the story. And then, lo and behold, what Amazon decides to do is go, you're all trolls, we're being review bombed, and you're all racist. Right, okay, so a few things to consider there. If we are to believe Amazon Prime's opening figures, they said 25 million people watched those 2 episodes in the first day. 25 million! What if a large portion of those people just didn't like the show? Even just 10% people didn't like it. 2.5 million? 2.5 million people decide to chime in and go, yeah, you know what? I actually really didn't like this show, and they review it negatively. Amazon Prime's knee-jerk reaction to that, rather than looking introspectively and going, oh, you know what? We did hire individuals with absolutely no credits, because they did. Their showrunners have no credits, to helm the biggest property, production budget-wise, ever established in media. We may have cocked up here. We may have cocked up. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll just say it's review bombing and racism. And then, because Jeff Bezos has all the money in the world to fund his vanity project, he can use all that money in the world to shield his vanity project from criticism by either paying mainstream media to write these reports saying that racism occurred and all the review bombing is racist. He can manipulate IMDb to not show overtly negative reviews. He can pause negative reviews or just reviews in general on Amazon Prime for Rings of Power, because that's still going on. Yeah, interestingly. And then we all have to shield ourselves to this fact that he may have just made something crap, and we must respect it. No, it's not how this works. But like I said, this seething cope that is Lord of the Rings of Power, is hilarious, and we're getting a lot of cope much like this. And this is baffling to me anyway. So this was posted yesterday. This is the Rings of Power, says the Lord of the Rings on Prime, and it's a quote from some no-name individual saying it's a love letter to J.R.R. Tolkien and Middle-earth. Mashable. Prime Video series is stunning, meticulously crafted love letter to J.R.R. Tolkien and Middle-earth, and an epic tale of the battle between good and evil. Well, unless you have watched it all, Mashable, which I don't think you have, but unless you have watched it all, we don't know it's a tale between... Well, obviously it is a tale between good and evil, but we've not... You can't say it's an epic tale of the battle between good and evil, because we've not seen that play out yet. We've not seen any epic battles yet. We've seen anything. Because they've spent 3 episodes doing nothing. It's boring. And we've got the 4th episode coming out this week, and it's very unfortunate this has come out exactly the same time as House of the Dragon, because you can compare the two. One treats the audience like idiots, the other doesn't. One has drawn people in, even people that didn't like Game of Thrones or got disenfranchised with Game of Thrones are back on board. One has much better storytelling, much better music, much better use of its budget. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And then, of course, like I said, we stand in solidarity with our cast. You're all welcome here. We, the cast of Rings of Power, stand together in absolute solidarity and against the relentless racism, threats, harassment and abuse some of our castmates of colour are being subjected to on a daily basis. We refuse to ignore it or tolerate it. Again, 25 million people apparently watched the first 2 episodes. 25 million people. So the ratio of potential bumholes jumping in there and commenting, bigoted remarks, racially motivated, is the ratio is going to be higher. Of course it is. Well, not higher, but the quantity would be higher, because the ratios, we're dealing with an overall ratio, 25 million, right? But it's still going to be the minority. The majority of comments, that 38, 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, is only coming from people saying it's boring. That's the primary complaint. J.R.R. Tolkien created a world which by definition is multicultural. Yes, but you've not included those cultures that he created. You've just changed them. A world in which free peoples from different races and cultures join together in fellowship to defeat the forces of evil. Rings of Power reflects that. Our world has never been all white. No, of course not. J.R.R. Tolkien's wasn't. Fantasy has never been all white. Middle-earth is not all white. BIPOC, that's right, belong in Middle-earth, and they are here to stay. Finally, all our love and fellowship go out to the fans supporting us, especially fans of colour who are themselves being attacked simply for existing in this fandom. I've not seen anyone attack someone else. Most people have just gone. Normally, and this is what happens on my videos, and there'll be someone in the comments doing it right now. This is you. I'm talking about you. Normally when people don't like something and they have valid criticism, all of what I've said is valid. None of this is coming from a bigoted stance. I have not said anyone should hate it based on colour. I've said it's primarily boring. Right? That is my complaint of this show, along with weird framing choices, strange casting choices with respect to Galadriel, for instance. Just a really poor choice of... All of this is valid criticism, right? Justified, conveyed, perfectly valid, reasonable critique. But there'll be someone in the comments going mental right now. And normally it's people that have valid criticism that gets attacked. It's these kind of videos that get attacked from the fans. That's how this normally works. I've not seen any fan get attacked. I'm not saying that it doesn't occur, but relentlessly attacked? Relentlessly. No. And then there's some other nonsense. You're an integral part of the Lord of the Rings family. Thanks for having our backs. So what has Lord of the Rings on Prime done here as well? Well, they've gone, not only are we going to wheel out our, black cast members, but we're also going to wheel out our black fans and go, you take it. We're not going to deal with this. You can deal with this. This is you're our shield. Cheers. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And like I say, this will continue. This is just a fantastic case study in rage bait marketing. Fan rage bait marketing. But we don't see the same response for House of the Dragon. Again, there were some comments. I myself did some commentary on it with respect to Corlys Velaryon. Well, there's a comedy aspect to Corlys Velaryon being black, because the Velaryons were completely wiped out, and if they're the only black people in Game of Thrones world, by the time Game of Thrones comes around, essentially they've murdered all black people, which is another sort of awkwardly, I don't know, hypocritical element as to why you included them in the first place, I guess. But that's just if you look to connect the lore. But there were definitely some commentary to be had over Corlys Velaryon, but the actor's very good, very solid. And this is the same principle of Lord of the Rings, right? The woman who plays Disa, the black dwarf, fantastic actor, was very likable in the role. Now that doesn't, her being incredibly likable in the role doesn't remove the fact that a black dwarf doesn't make sense because they live underground. Two things can coexist, and there's no middle line of racism running through both of those critiques. One being a positive critique anyway, because she was fantastic. She was really, really good, and it was a shame that she didn't pop up more. But I do eagerly anticipate her popping up more, because she was very funny. But again, just thought we would lay this video out here for you. The seething cope of Amazon Prime. Jeff Bezos, in these kind of stories, would be Sauron. Just as an FYI, he would be Sauron. The one looking to control everything. We're looking to get moral lectures on how to handle yourself from Amazon Prime. A company renowned for essentially slave labour. Jeff Bezos is the Sauron of this story. Make no mistake. And people's justifiable criticism being panned as bigots, not a good look. It's just plain cope.